So what's happening, people? This is going to be a little video, my review of the Tao TAo 125 F1 model. Let me spin this around. I bought this brand new about 2 months ago, right before Christmas, I guess. I paid $1,375 for it, brand new. Bought it from the lawnmower shop up in town, and they brought it right out here to the house. All right, for the money, I don't think you can beat it. Pretty cool little bike. A few little things you need to do to it right off the bat. A few little fixes, and I'll show you about those. The only issue I've had with it is the idle kept falling off on it. It wouldn't stay where I put it. And so the only thing I did to fix that is I set the idle where I wanted it, and it shot a little bead of hot glue around the screw so it can't move, and that solved that problem. Change out the spark plug on it, put an NGK in it. Made a huge difference in how this thing runs. It's got more power, unbelievable, just from changing the spark plug. And also it changed the front sprocket. I went from the 14 stock down to a 12, and that made a big difference. So I don't ride this thing fast. I'm like 60 years old. I'm done with all that bouncing around real hard. I can't stand it. My back's messed up. But I just use it to run around on the property. So for what I'm gonna do with it, I think it's gonna be great. Now, you ain't gonna get a Yamaha or a Honda for $1,300, so don't expect it. But if you just want something to cruise around on, get around on your property, and you're not planning on motocrossing it and all that, I think you'll do all right. One other thing I did to it, the shocks on these things are friggin' horrible. It beat the crap out of you. And I weigh like 245 pounds. And this is a stock shock right here. And they suck, man. They hurt. They'll hurt you. So I went on eBay and got a set of the cheapo air shocks. They're like 50 bucks a set, 55 bucks, something like that. 50 bucks a set. It made a big difference. I changed the front and back. Now, when you mount these up, these little bushings, I dropped it. These little bushings that come with the new shocks, they're not long enough. And if you use these, the shock will rattle around in the mount. So what you want to do is knock these bushings out of the old shocks, because they're the proper length to fit the mount. So knock these out and use those. Pretty easy to do. So you can see right here, there would be that much slop in here if you didn't use the right bushing, and this thing would rattle around inside there. So that's one thing you definitely want to do when you change the shocks out. All right, now on the back, it's a single shock on the back. Single shock on the back. And another guy posted a video. He changed the one on his. And he said when he mounted it up, it was so mushy that it didn't work, because he weighed like 200 pounds. And he said it was so mushy it would just bottom out. He said it was fine for his kids, but 200 pounds, it didn't work. It bottomed out. So I listened to him. I bought a pair instead of buying one. And I mounted them up duals. And it works fine. They don't bottom out. It rides so much better. Like I say, they're about 50 bucks. And all you gotta do to make this work is buy you a couple of 4.5-inch bolts and use the bushings and the hardware out of the old shock to take up the difference and make you a little spacer in between the mount. Same thing at the top. And it works great. Now your brake reservoir, you're gonna have to move that out of the way a little bit, and all you gotta do is take it off and bend the bracket so it clears the shock, and then mount it, put the bolt back in it, mount it back up. Works great. Makes a huge difference in how this thing rides. I can actually ride it now. But that's about it. Change out the shocks, spark plug, and change the front sprocket. And one other thing that does suck about these, the headlights. You turn those headlights on at night and you can't see nothing. Then you might as well have them. They just suck straight up. So what I did was I bought a set of these LEDs off of eBay for like 20 bucks for the set. And I welded a couple little brackets on here so I could mount them underneath instead of on top. I didn't want them in the way. And what I did was I took the wires from the stock headlights and used those when I wired these up so that the stock switch turns them on. I don't even use the stock ones because they didn't do anything hardly, or were useless. But anyway, you can use the stock switch But that's it. The Tao TAo 125F model. Pretty good little bike for $1,300. Maybe I'll do a video in a year or so and see if it's still running good. Peace.